Path of Exile 321 drops this week, and it's coming with significant changes to the passive skill tree's mastery system. While many of the new masteries appear to be pretty useless, some of them open up interesting new build options. The two specific mastery options I want to highlight are these two. The first is a Leech mastery that says 10% of Leech is instant. The second, a Claw mastery that says 10% of Leech is instant per equipped Claw. These can stack for a total of 30%. I've made a couple of videos highlighting Leech mechanics in the past, including one that resulted in a bug fix with Immortal Ambition and Instant Leech. I'll spare you the hour-long lecture on Leech interactions in this video, but I'll need to review the basics a bit to make sure we're clear on what the new masteries do. After that, I'll get into interactions with various keystones and build archetypes. The default behavior of Life Leech is that when you deal hit damage, you create a Leech instance that recovers either a percentage of damage dealt or 10% of your maximum life, whichever is lower. The recovery occurs at a rate of 2% of maximum life per second, resulting in a maximum duration of 5 seconds per Leech instance. Total recovery per second from Leech is capped at 20% of maximum life per second, meaning you need 10 concurrent instances of Leech to reach the cap. Mana and Energy Shield Leech function the same way, with the caveat that Energy Shield Leech is capped at only 10% per second, or 5 concurrent instances. If you take the mastery that causes 10% of Leech to be instant, then a Leech instance that ordinarily recovers 10% of maximum life over 5 seconds will instead recover 1% of life instantly and 9% of life over 4.5 seconds. Because the recovery still applies at 2% per second, you still need 10 concurrent instances to reach the 20% cap. The instant portion of the Leech is not recovery per second, and therefore not counted toward the cap on total recovery per second. So how does this instant Leech interact with different modifiers to Leech? The most important thing to understand is that modifiers to recovery per second won't affect the instant portion of Leech, but will continue to affect the non-instant portion. For instance, let's say that 10% of your Leech is instant, and you hit 2 enemies, leeching 10% of maximum life per hit. This would cause you to recover 2% of life instantly, and 18% over the next 4.5 seconds. If you then gain 100% increased total recovery per second from Life Leech, you will still recover 2% of life instantly, but the non-instant Leech will be 36% over the next 4.5 seconds. Likewise, modifiers to maximum total life recovery per second from Leech and life recovery rate have no interaction with Instant Leech. So how do you scale Instant Leech? The most noteworthy stat to pay attention to is recovery per Life Leech, which refers to the 10% of maximum life that can be recovered by a single instance of Leech. Unfortunately, there are very few places to find modifiers to this stat in the game, the most obvious of which is the Brutal Fervor notable passive in the Slayer Ascendancy tree. With this notable, you can now recover up to 20% of maximum life from a single Leech instance, which means that if 10% of your Leech is instant, you can now recover 2% of life instantly with each hit. If 30% is instant, that's 6% instant recovery per hit. Other modifiers to this stat appear on both the Divergent Life Leech support gem, which is a 100% increase at 20% quality, and on the Replica Soul Strike quiver, which is an 80% reduction. Additionally, the Divergent Energy Leech support gem provides 40% maximum recovery per Energy Shield Leech, allowing you to recover 14% of Energy Shield with one instance of Energy Shield Leech, which could mean 4.2% instant Energy Shield recovery per hit with both Leech masteries. Beyond grabbing recovery per Leech modifiers, you just want to make sure that you leech enough damage from each hit to recover the maximum possible amount, and make sure you're hitting frequently enough to recover as much as you need to survive. Now that we're clear on how the instant Leech masteries work, let's talk about how it interacts with certain build-defining Leech mechanics, starting with Strength of Blood. Strength of Blood is the most notable beneficiary of the new Leech masteries. Strength of Blood grants less damage taken based on the total life recovery per second you have from Leech, but in exchange prevents non-instant Leech from actually recovering life. In the Strength of Blood video that I posted a year and a half ago, I highlighted that it is possible to get both recovery and damage reduction from Leech, provided you have a way to leech both instantly and non-instantly. In that video, I dual-wielded Bloodseeker and a different weapon to get both instant and non-instant leech. This allowed me to recover life with Bloodseeker's instant leech, while the non-instant leech from the other weapon provided the damage reduction from Strength of Blood. Now that we can make up to 30% of our leech apply instantly, without having to use a unique weapon with mediocre DPS, there are many more viable ways to play Strength of Blood. In fact, I think that Slayers in particular should strongly consider using Strength of Blood, forgoing the persistent recovery for persistent damage reduction. Dual Claw Slayers seems like an interesting route to take now that you can pretty easily get upwards of 30% damage reduction from Strength of Blood, while instantly recovering 6% of maximum life on hit. Another keystone whose focal point is Life Leech is Immortal Ambition, which causes Life Leech instances to recover Energy Shield instead of life while you are on full life. The major obstacle for post-nerf Immortal Ambition is that Energy Shield recovery from Leech is by default capped at 10% of maximum Energy Shield per second. Immortal Ambition also drains 5% of Energy Shield per second and disables both regeneration and recharge of Energy Shield. Using Leech alone, it takes at least 20 seconds to recover to maximum Energy Shield from 0, rendering it useless in most circumstances. Instant Leech circumvents this issue. Instant Leech is not recovery per second, so the 10% cap on Energy Shield recovery per second does not apply to Instant Leech. Furthermore, Immortal Ambition doesn't create instances of Energy Shield Leech. The Energy Shield recovery is still coming from instances of Life Leech, each of which can recover up to 10% of your maximum life. So if you have 4,000 life and 1,500 Energy Shield, one instance of Life Leech can recover 400 Energy Shield, even though that's more than 10% of your maximum Energy Shield. Making 30% of this Leech instant means you can instantly recover 120 Energy Shield on hit. The faster recovery means your Energy Shield can actually be a meaningful damage buffer. Hybrid dual claw shadow builds seem more viable now with the combo of instant Leech masteries and Immortal Ambition. It's possible that these new masteries will revive the old combo of Immortal Ambition and Corrupted Soul, or alternatively we may see Immortal Ambition used in conjunction with the Burden of Truth, which plays a similar role to that of Corrupted Soul. Also, a quick digression regarding Immortal Ambition. There's a new life mastery that causes you to count as being on full life while at 90% life or above. This means it's now possible to reserve some of your maximum life while still recovering Energy Shield from Life Leech. This can be useful on an Immortal Ambition build for squeezing in a flat reservation on your life pool and for enabling the new Reservation mastery that grants plus 1% to all maximum elemental resistances when both life and mana are reserved. If we're going to talk about Immortal Ambition, then Mahuxotl's Machination deserves a mention. The shield's modifiers are just keystone salad, but among those included are Corrupted Soul, Divine Flesh, Everlasting Sacrifice, and Immortal Ambition. The combination of these 4 keystones essentially gives you a significant amount of Energy Shield, but transforms the Energy Shield from an HP pool into a battery that, when fully charged, completely discharges and grants plus 5% to all maximum resistances for 4 seconds. Because Immortal Ambition creates so many obstacles to recovering Energy Shield, there aren't many ways to actually fill the Energy Shield bar. The most apparent of them is Leech, but this runs into the aforementioned issue where it takes 20 seconds to fill the Energy Shield bar using Leech alone. It's always been possible to get around this using other recovery mechanics such as Energy Shield on hit, but none of these other mechanics are as easily accessible as Instant Leech will be in patch 321. I pointed out in my Leech deep dive that Bloodseeker is a good enabler for Everlasting Sacrifice, because of its ability to quickly fill Energy Shield. Now it's possible to do so on practically any build, thanks to the Instant Leech from the new masteries. There's an interesting build involving Mahuxotl's Machination, Instant Leech, and Tempered by War that's worth exploring. It would essentially be an alternative to the existing combo of a max roll Dawnbreaker, Tempered by War, Purity of Fire, and Sublime Vision. There are other interactions involving Instant Leech that I'm leaving out, but those are the main ones for which I'm considering making builds in 321. Don't forget that the new masteries enable Instant Leech of not only life, but also mana and Energy Shield. Neither of these has existed since 2017, when Instant Energy Shield Leech went away with the Volpact reworks, and Instant Mana Leech went away with the corresponding change to its Ares Acuity. The revival of all forms of Instant Leech, combined with 20 leagues worth of new content, could open some doors that haven't previously existed. Regarding this channel's content, I know that I don't upload very frequently, essentially only when I find inspiration from new game mechanics, or when I have a particularly successful build to share. I'd like to upload more educational stuff, but I don't want to turn this into a job. I also play other games, primarily Last Epoch and Teamfight Tactics at the moment. For those of you who are subscribed to my channel, I wonder what you think about me uploading Last Epoch content occasionally. In contrast to Path of Exile, Last Epoch's mechanics are pretty easy to understand and well explained in game, so I can only see a couple of places where educational content would be helpful. Nonetheless, I'm considering uploading some videos about builds I come up with, or short mechanics videos with math to add some context to some of the weird formulas Last Epoch uses. Please let me know in the comments if you're interested. I'm probably going to start the Crucible League with some sort of acrobatics-based raider build, currently leaning toward Toxic Rain since I've never played it before. As always, if the build turns out interesting enough, I'll make a video about it. Thanks for watching.